Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is Grand Arena, the second match, Week 1, Season 29. And this record is about to be pretty chill because I'm recording over the already captured footage. I didn't have a lot of time going into this round. I was just busy with work. You'll see it in one of these battles. I actually get interrupted with work and lose even more time. So I just decided to record the gameplay and add in my own coverage after. Looking at this bracket is a nightmare bracket. I think we're going to go 0-3. I'm pretty worried about it. Last round up against which is an appropriate name. This is what we're looking at. This was probably the only winnable match of the bracket. And it's because he had I think it was 6 Galactic Legends, it may have been 5. Most everyone was 5 or 6 GLs. And what that allowed him to do was set down a very strong offense, set down a very strong defense, even though there was only 1 or 2 Galactic Legends. And then just save all of his Galactic Legends for offense, which meant my defense couldn't really handle it. I even saved Raven's Claw for my own attacks, and we didn't even get the chance to use it. I didn't have the wiggle room to risk it. My opponent today, DJ Frogger. Another pretty terrifying roster. This guy's at 8.4, basically 8.5 million GP. Really tough. Good mods. The Pia is at 312. So that gives you a range of idea of where the 300 speed characters are. But this is going to be tough. Looking at the Hotbot, 381 guild size, so pretty good guild. Lifetime banners, though, is low, and that was reflected in his Grand Arena history. Inconsistent participation, which I was hoping for, because probably part of the reason why he's not in Kyber 1 and he's playing in Kyber 2 is because he loses a lot of battles from lack of participation, not from his roster being bad, not from his strategy being bad, not from not knowing how to play, but just his playing of Grand Arena altogether is inconsistent. Zetas are low considering he has 6 GLs. Decent roster depth. I'm happy to have this number at 200. It's kind of meaningless though at this point. I'd say somewhere around 150 is just fluff. Like I've got 50 characters of Gear 11 fluff that are basically useless. But it does allow me to take advantage of characters like Raddus or Sortie coming into play, and now it also makes me better positioned to take advantage of like GL Jabba or the Profundity being added to the game. Because now I have a head start on a lot of characters that other players will have to work towards. Like if you didn't already have Jin or so farmed or geared up, that's extra work that you're going to have to do. In terms of this guy's relics, a lot of tier 5, tier 7 relics. If he was a Datacron heavy player, that would be a problem. You can see from his mods just what kind of position. Yeah, this is a 6 GL player. You can see he's modded very well. I skipped over the mod portion. Not too many 6-dot mods, or not too many more, and what that really indicates is he knows how to mod. Because usually what you'll see, if I still have all the green, and I usually do, and a gigantic 6-dot mod number, is that would signify that they're turning into 6 dots a lot of bad mods. This guy is not too far behind me, which means he's 6-dotting a lot of good mods. And he knows how to mod. Slow Jedi, no, his Jedi looks somewhat close to mine. we've got speed advantages on a lot of characters. What we had with him is he has a slight advantage on his top 25 mods. I have a big advantage on the top 500, but even though I have the advantage, it's not significant. Actually, he's beating me on a lot of these characters. He's just got good mods. Now going into this. He attacked me first, but you can see I only have 2 hours and 20 minutes left. It's enough time, but it's not a lot of room to deal with, especially considering it's the middle of the workday when I'm having to do these at that point, because I'm in California. And you can see here, 2 shots up against the Nute. A little bit of room there, but it's kind of meaningless. 2 shots up against the Padme. With a player like this, I really need like my fleet to hold, because I'm not going to clear him. You can see he did better than last round. His opponent, who was like 970 or whatever that was. This guy's at 2,000. He had a very clean run. I'm going to have some issues. So we got Grievous Tuskens. Down below, we're looking at Shaak T, Darth Revan, Crew, Iden, Geos. Not using Datacrons, which is a small mercy. I use them a little bit in this. It makes me feel gross. So Wampa here. This is a safe counter. Why is this okay, the footage is no longer messed up. It's just one of those things. I think in 3v3, Wampa is much more useful against Iden than other counters. Like Grievous is manageable in other ways. Mon Mothma with Kylo Katarn is manageable in other ways. But Iden is a bit of a nuisance. And this way, it's a safe counter, and it's how I think I'm going to be using my Wampa moving forward in the 3v3 context. In 5v5, there's other options. You can see this is safe and quick. I think Traya is fairly effective against Kylo Katarn, even if you might have to clean it up, but it's a lot harder to clean up Iden than it is to clean up that Kylo Katarn, at least after a Traya counter. There we go. I'm introducing a cut here. We'll see how clean it's going to be. So what I'd like to do with this kind of matchup is I would like to use Jedi Knight Luke. And it's what I end up doing, and it's a consequence of not having a lot of time. I wasn't able to scout this. I wasn't able to look at his Grand Arena history. I wasn't able to plan out my offense in the way that I would like to do. So I'm just playing fast and loose and hope I'm not going to put myself into a corner. And because there's other ways I could have got through this squad, but I know at least this is a high banner counter. It's very safe, it's very strong. I would like to use it more often because of how effective it is, but Jedi Knight Luke is a powerful weapon, and I don't know if I'm going to want him later. But great counter. It could be argued that it is way overpowered for this scenario, especially because Crew was paired up with Fox and a pilot. That's not one of the stronger comps. It's just that if using weak teams against Crew can get you into trouble. Although Bad Batch probably could have handled that. In 5v5, Bad Batch could have handled that. It's just in 3v3 they're much weaker. We use gas here. This is another one where, no, you kind of have to. This is There's other places I could have used gas, though. It would be nice to have some more Darth Revan options. Actually, up against this one, no, I was gonna say maybe Maul is an option, but not real, not without Watt. We will have Melgus soon, so it'll be interesting to see what happens to these Darth Revan squads. I'm going after Talon because if I hit Revan first, Revan's going to revive. I guess we're going to do it anyway. What did I choose? I'm debating. Do I want to just try and take him out? Because I'm probably going to... Yeah, we don't even take him out. Kind of got lucky there. But see, there's the revive. It doesn't end up mattering, but it's why I was trying to take out Talon before Revan. And it's why you see Talon on these teams now. I don't think in a 3v3 scenario, though, it's as effective. Because you can see it's like pulling out Malik or pulling out a tank, and I think that tank is pretty important to making it so that Darth Revan counter, or that Darth Revan team is a threat. Because if you can just go after Fallen to start, it's a lot easier to manage. Using Vader up against Geos, that's pretty safe. Talon gives me a speed boost, and I think it's also like offense. There's a couple stats. I'm just trying to find a third body. Savage is one of my classic third bodies. Let's go for it. Really just want a Savage on me to make him more usable. He's got 3 dots. This is, I think I threw it. Do I not? Yeah, I guess I decided not to do it. I could have thrown it at Spy and taken him out, is what that just made clear. Try and go for an ability block to prevent a big hit. That was me not remembering the health equalization. Just getting too excited to use that ability. But this is a very forgivable counter, so it's fine. So Shaak T is next. I don't even remember what I did up against Shaak T. You can see it's high relics too. Oh, is this what I did? Yeah, this is what I did. I remember. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it was necessary, but it's one that I'm going to immediately regret this, and I'm going to show you why. What I should do here is I should have just gone straight for 5s to start. I was hoping or thinking I could take out Shaak T, and then 5s isn't going to revive as much. Or not, Shaak T won't be healing 5s as much. Oh, I guess it did happen. Never mind. That must have been on the alt account. So it did work as I thought it would. And we just take out Shaak T to stop the healing. Which I think didn't work on the alt account because the damage wasn't there. Yeah, this rips this apart. This didn't really have... This is probably the weakest counter I had for them. If it wasn't Rex and 5s, then I could have thrown in Nest. I could have considered maybe Malik, but in a Rex 5 scenario, that's not going to work. So this is why I regret it. Because on this back wall here, we got some problems. We got Dash, Maul, Nute, Qui-Gon, and Lord Vader. That Qui-Gon team or that Dash team would have been easily handled by Jedi Knight Revan. And now I've significantly shrunk my viable high encounters up against this back wall. Which is why you see me drop a lot of battles on front walls a lot of times. It's because I'm trying to hold back those good squads for the back wall. Usually, like, it doesn't create a problem because a lot of players have weaker back walls for some reason. This guy has a great back wall. Like, strategically, this is how I would play it. He forced me into using up good counters on the front wall, and now on the back wall, I don't have a lot of good options. It's going to be a problem. This is safe. So I've been watching a lot of nonsense lately. Now that we're done with a lot of the good shows, I just ripped through The Boys, Stranger Things, Umbrella Academy, everything else that's been coming out, Kenobi. And now there's a little bit of a break. I've been watching... Well, there's the Resident Evil... There's two shows I want to talk about. There's Resident Evil, which I was very alarmed by... Not alarmed, that's the wrong word. I was very suspicious of because I had seen no news and advertisements leading up to the show. This is the type of show where, like Stranger Things, you were just hearing about Stranger Things nonstop. And that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Like Stranger Things Season 1, we didn't have any prior notice of. But there's other shows, like this movie that's about to come out with like Chris Pine and Ryan Gosling or whoever. We're seeing things about this show, or this movie, good or bad. But usually, if something has a big enough profile like the Resident Evil franchise, you would think we would like hear Netflix is making a Resident Evil show. So not hearing anything makes me already feel like this is going to be a weak show. And plus, I've talked about this in the past. We're at a point now where Netflix has so damaged their own brand by pushing out so much low quality stuff that I don't trust it anymore. They've cheated me enough with these high profile movies and shows with big name actors that I no longer take it seriously. Like, they use Mads Mikkelsen in something called Polar, which is awful. I watched this movie called Ava with Jessica Chastain, but it also has John Malkovich, Colin Farrell. Like, it's got a big name cast, and it is one of the biggest pieces of trash. It's not one of the fun, schlocky pieces of trash. It's just unpleasant to watch. It's just so poorly made. And so this is my fear when I see things with that little Netflix N in the corner. And I bring all this as a preface to talk about another awful show, Manifest. We'll segue into that in a second. We gotta lead into our next match here. So now you guys see, I got a Maul team I don't really have a good counter for. We got this Dash team, which is gonna be a problem. Like, I would love Jedi Knight Revan. And I've dealt with these teams before. Like, I've gone up against this Dash team with unideal counters, and it was a mess. Now maybe if I had like Jedi Knight Luke, I wouldn't have to use Jedi Master Luke, but last 3v3 there was a full clear that was stopped by this dash team, which is why I'm respecting it a lot. But it's JML is way more than necessary, and there's a little bit of a question of, was there other combinations of teams I could have considered? Could I have considered Maul here instead? You can see this falls apart pretty quick. So this show Manifest, it was originally on NBC, I think, maybe ABC, and that's probably NBC. NBC is much more willing to do sci-fi than I think ABC or CBS is. They're hitting a different demographic. So what's next? What did I choose? We gotta find a way through Qui-Gon and Maul. We don't have ideal options. Qui-Gon's probably gonna have to take 2 shots now. Now, this is what we attempt here. This BAM Bo-Katan team in 3v3 is very good. You really got to respect it, and it can really mess things up. I have advantages here on my squad, but they're not significant. And technically, you can see like I have more damage output. Should have gone with a conflagration. You see what happens here. Let's start doing these attacks. And I trigger the damage immunity. Now it's a question of what can I do? Like if I had my own bow, I could be using these attacks to heal up my squad, which you can see is not happening right now. It's still somewhat worth considering. There might be like, I don't know if anyone could put healing immunity, but I feel like Candra's should still be healing from his attacks, but he's not. You can see just this was a disaster. And this is why this is a solid team, and a team that I'm considering using in 3v3. Because Maul is not as good of an option on 3v3 offense. Not having Watt, not being able to start off the way he does makes him weaker. He's still very good, but that team on defense is better enough that it's very much worth considering. And now I'm in a situation where, what do I do up against it? Like I could use gas. Gas is a decent counter up against it. But you can see just like how I was playing that front wall, just not being shy about using my good teams, which is usually not how I play, is limiting my options right now. Because this is a strong back wall. But it's also the result of this guy's roster. He has 6 GLs and he only set 1 on defense. He's got 5 GLs worth of weaponry to be throwing at my defense, which, especially considering how many relics he has, isn't really an option. Anyway, this has always been cleanupable for me, which is why I do it. It's not super clean. It gets scary. But at least I will be in a cleanup situation. It's never been a problem where it completely goes off the rails and I just give myself preloaded turn meter for the next time I attack. I play it slow to make sure we're not taunting too early or losing any characters too fast. Because losing Nihilus early can be a problem, or not getting to Held by Hatred can be a problem. I was hoping we would take out Mon Mothma there, but we don't get it. There's my Held by Hatred. You can see with relics, this is easy win. But this is probably as good as you're going to get with a Gear 12 team, because I've got a lot of Gear 12 plus pieces on these characters, and we're not quite there. So here I can use my, what's that ability called again? I knew I was probably not going to take them out with this ability before, because they had too much health. So I was hoping to survive long enough to get to it. But we at least take out Mon Mothma. It's clean-upable now. I'm just thinking through, like, how do we piece apart this? Because it's a situation where we're not going to win, but can we get the full clear? This is one where I would really like to have a relic Dark Trooper. And we'll have one soon enough, but that's one of my relics, like Biston, where I've wanted a relic forever, but it's the one I keep putting off. Even though this is one of the most deserving relics for a character that's not on a path. So I triggered one sacrifice, leaving it there for now, because I need the damage immunity to come off of Jango. This gets a little scary with these 3v3 teams, because Jango at Relic 7 is just so capable of ripping apart one of these troopers, these Gear 11 troopers. I'll have them at Relics soon for Sith Eternal Emperor, but we're not there yet. But it's nice that it's still semi-viable at this Gear 11, Gear 12 stature, which is why I still use it. It's still a counter. I'm just trying to get a little bit of a turn meter thing going, so we get some attacks. Without the stacks of Emperor's Trap, we do not get to take out Nute, but we can now use the suborbital strike and get fear applied. Not that it matters. But you can see with a Relic Dark Trooper how much easier this would be. Jango would practically be dead at this point, or would have lost the Bounty Hunter's resolve. And now we're super close, and we get it. But you can see it's a little scary, but it allows me to get through that squad without having to use something better. Like, I'll take a messy clear. Grievous here, we got Shaak Ti. So as I was leading into this show, Manifest is an awful show. It is terrible. If you have seen Children's Hospital on Adult Swim, Manifest is the type of network show that Children's Hospital is satirizing. Now, yes, they're more satirizing those shows like Grey's Anatomy and ER and those things more specifically, but it's still the same tone that they're functioning with. And it's the stuff where it's like, these guys, the characters are just like, I just gotta save my son. Like, we're gonna die tomorrow. And just constantly these kinds of line readings. Everything's pumped up. Everybody's just saying, like, trust me. You gotta trust me on this. And it's nobody's talking. Nobody's explaining. All these characters are counter to how they were seen previously. Like, you keep seeing these characters switch their roles. Like, nobody's ever the patient person. In one scenario, they're patient. In the next scenario, they become the impatient one. And the character talking them down in a previous scene shifts into the character that is hyped up in the next scene. It's very annoying. And it's a show that is based off of that Abrams mystery box formula. And it's much closer to Alias than it is some of the later things he did with Fringe or Lost. And it's kind of making me wonder why I've watched so much of his trash. We'll continue this in the next battle. And then I'll tie Resident Evil and Manifest together. Because it is interesting the way I feel about these two shows. Now we got Sortie up against T3 and 4 is something I stumbled upon the last round, which worked for me. You just gotta time it out. But the Tusken Ami is bugged right now, which I don't know why it's bugged. Like, what would have happened to break it? This Sortie is a character I'm really looking forward to having at 7 stars, because Sortie is a great character. And you can see I'm just trying to bring down the health and protection equally on the Tusken Raider and the summons. It's not going to matter, and you'll see why in a second, but that's how I'm approaching it. I'm trying to get to the next AoE and take out everybody with the AoEs. Which is why relics and higher gear would help us out a lot. So we do the first one, we do the second one. I don't get it, we get the revive. I do this ability, we take out the summons. The summon's supposed to come back right now. He didn't. And because of that, easy win. It still would have been possible with the summon, with the Armor Crown working correctly, but it doesn't come into play with this. Now we got Bosk, Zam, and Boba Fett. Not one of the scarier comps, but you still gotta respect it. It's still gonna be a problem. We still have a number of options. Like, obviously we have Starkiller, we've got Malak, we have JTR. We have teams we can consider. I think what I'm considering here is, can Malak get me into a position to win this thing? Because we can apply a lot of fear, and that fear is going to negate some of the other functionality of these characters. Let's do it. Yeah, so we're going to shift back and talking about nonsense. So Manifest, if you don't know, I don't recommend the show at all. These people, this family, they take a flight from Jamaica back to the States, and during their flight, it disappears for 5 years. But to the passengers on the flight, no time has passed. They don't think anything has changed. So there's this compelling mystery of, okay, what happens? And it is a show similar to Lost, but Lost was done at a higher level where you weren't angry with the show as much, is why I think it's better to compare it up against Alias. Because Alias was a show, it wasn't Abrams' first show. I think his first show was Felicity. It was his second show. There's a lot of ambient noise being picked up. And Alias I didn't even know about until I was in college. The guy who taught me about the existence of torrenting was the guy who introduced me to Alias. He was a crazy Alias fan. And so I started watching Alias off of his recommendation. And at first, like, I feel like these shows are very good in season 1, where when they pitch the show and they successfully sell the show to a production company in a studio, that they have enough of an idea of what they want to do with season 1 that you enjoy it. And I do think that was the case with Alias for a while. But with Alias, there's this mysterious archaeological artifact. There's this guy Rambaldi who predict. This has been so long since I watched this, but this guy predicts a bunch of things, and those predictions are relevant to Jennifer Garner's character. And you're like, okay, what's this mystery? Who's this guy from the past? What is going on with this spy organization? What's going on? And what you eventually realize is there are no answers. They're never going to give you answers. What they're only going to ever give you is this mystery. They always leave loose ends. They never wrap things up. It's just always bait you with the next mystery. So this carrot on a stick scenario where they're just dragging you along. And Manifest is like the poor man's version of it. It is so D-grade. It's done. The acting is so much worse. The budget is so much worse. Everything about the show is significantly worse than every other version of these mystery box shows. But I still watched all the seasons of it that are on Netflix because I was grinding Conquest. It was the type of show that is very good to have on the background when you're playing SWGOH, where you don't want to pay attention. Because like a good show, you're going to want to give it all attention. You want to pay attention to what's on screen. With this show like Manifest, you can practically wash your dishes to it. It doesn't matter. And despite how horrible it is, it's still so much more compelling to me than Resident Evil. I guess let's talk about this match a bit. So I was distracted for a long time with Zam, which I shouldn't have been. I should have just been focused on Bosk because the recovery that's going on here has been pretty difficult to deal with. I'm just trying to do a lot of work with the healing immunity and taking out these characters. You can see that it looks like we're probably going to time out. I don't remember whether or not we did, but it's at a position where I clearly could have beat this very quickly had I approached it the right way, and the right way would have been taking out Bosk first, which took me too long to realize. Now, we're running low on time. Getting a little scary. I don't want to auto yet. We take out Boba Fett. I want to land a healing immunity over on Zam. Now we're going to auto. There's a second healing immunity just to make sure that it doesn't come off. And it's so close. So close. Do we get there? And we don't. You can see that could have been a one-shot win, but I didn't make the realization I needed to early enough. But great result. Something we can work with. Now we have two teams we can clean up. I need more coffee. With Zam's recovery is why I'm bringing in First Order. I don't want that. I don't want her to get a bunch of health back since she's so close to red. And Kylo, I know definitely has healing immunity. I'm really overthinking this. Just tremendously overthinking this. Let's move along. I don't even remember what I was thinking at this point. Maybe I was considering a solo. Yeah, we go solo. Yeah. Anyway. Kyle Katarn is a Jedi. I think I did Inquisitors because I like to throw in those guys when I have an opportunity. And an opportunity is just the presence of a Jedi. I'm gonna relic one of those Sith at some point. I know the game will probably force me soon enough. And there we go. Now we've got 3 teams left. Not a ton of options. Running lower on time, but still okay. Starkiller is like my only option at this point. Just thinking it through. There's no point in doing the Dispel because the taunt just moves around to whoever is healthiest. Great. Great. That was the easy one, though. Now, how do I get through this Nute team is the problem. And we're going to we're transitioning into a testing phase where I've lost a lot of good options. There's no route to winning this. It's just a question of, do we get the full clear? How do I handle that scenario? This guy's defense. This is what those extra GLs allow for, and it's why I'm at this point now very much worried about if I can continue to hold on in Kyber 2. Many for a long time have predicted my decline, and it might be happening now. Like, I'm going to have to add relics for Datacrons, participate more in Datacrons, but even not counting Datacrons, the question is, do I need to rush a Galactic Legend in order to hold on? And it looks and feels like that might be the case. I'm going to hold true with the path I'm going for, which is get Grand Inquisitor next time, otherwise I'm going to have to wait another 3+ months, and at that point, that's just a ton of time, and I don't want to delay him by that much. Then I want to get the Profundity. Then I want to get that next Galactic Legend. And that is going to be a lot of time. It's a lot of resources to be working on farming, but I think we can do it. I'm finishing a lot of farms up, and we're getting to a point where I think I can dedicate a lot of energy and resources towards just farming relic materials and speeding up that entire process. Although with Melgus and Chrysanthemum being unlocked and me going to gear up those characters, a lot of the Kairos I've saved up just enough for the Grand Inquisitor event. Those are all going to be eaten up. I think it's 150 Kairos each that Melgus and Chrysanthemum need to gear 11, which means the 300 are going to be gone. I need like 400 and 500 for the Grand Inquisitor event. Now this Qui-Gon team, I don't remember approaching this Qui-Gon team. The goal with Qui-Gon here is to just take out Qui-Gon. What is the team I can put together which will give me a shot at cleaning this up later? Yeah, this isn't going to work. I'm going to skip ahead to whenever I make the decision. I think I deliberate a while. So I think I'm thinking about Fennec here. Anakin attacked first with a basic hit is what happened there. I was slow on the unpause. Which, not the counter that I needed. But at least Anakin's AoE is on cooldown now. JTR is more a decision based on who else do I have that's any good at this point. You get a little bit of control. Not ideal though. Just do it. I'm going to have to wait until I can dispel again. Or maybe not. See how quickly I'm going to lose R2. Don't like it. But that takes out Qui-Gon. But now the Omicron has been eliminated, which means I can come in after and clean this up with something. That's all I really wanted. And she did her job. I'm going to test out a thing or two. And then in a real life event, we'll interrupt things. I'm trying to remember if I did any fun testing or just throwing things. This doesn't work. This is nonsense. But this is just like a desperation nonsense kind of play. Really, we're probably just going to skip ahead to the next video. Not next video. There's 2 parts. I recorded this in 2 parts. Yeah, I don't even know why I attempted this. Probably more as a consequence of not having a lot of other options. Like, we get a little bit of control. But without Telzine, like, we're not gonna get the damage stacked up enough. Yeah, there's nothing interesting to even comment on here. Just a desperation play. Seeing if we can find a way to pick this one apart. Now you see we have returned and we have 20 minutes left. Not enough time. When we had enough time to work with previously, but now we don't. We have 4 battles to do in 20 minutes. That is close. And that's because work came in and interrupted things. So with that interruption, I just got to rush. And that's why I don't like to record during my workday. Why it's more likely you'll see me do these very late night records. Even though I play sloppier, it's because I don't have to risk a real life interruption. And now, this is something where I mess up on in selecting a team. I probably should have selected Ebon Hawk to be a part of this fleet. But I thought this was just going to be so strong and overpower it that I just didn't add him. I thought we were going to be fine. Because right now I could bring in the Ebon Hawk, get rid of those debuffs, and save Houndstooth, possibly. But that's not an option right now. And there we lose it. So, obviously we're going to get it into a position where we can clean this battle up, but we never should have been in this position in the first place. Like, this is just a mess. This is a risky move. Do I do it? Yeah, okay, we don't do it. Because the Retribution is probably worth doing anyway, actually. Because I do have a stack left of whatever that thing's called for the Razor Crest. And there we go. "20 minutes left, and we need to do an extra battle now. Partly because we just didn't throw in the Ebon Hawk. This is a safe counter. We're going safe now. We'll ramble here. I don't need to talk about this one. Yeah, so Resident Evil, what is interesting to me is this show is not as bad as the hate it's been receiving. It's not a good show. There's a ton wrong with it. but it's not awful. It's very competently made. The problem with it is it's just boring. Like, I don't care. I went several days between episodes where I just like I don't care. I don't feel like it. I do think there is one storyline that I'm a little intrigued by, but overall I'm not. I think the tone of the show is wrong. Like, I don't know if I want it more serious or less serious, but there's like a comedic character and every other character is serious. It's just the show doesn't know what it wants to be, and it's just boring. Whereas the show Manifest is awful. It's far worse than Resident Evil, but I kept watching it because it was just, I think, and this is part of the trick of the mystery box and why I think it's such a cancer what Abrams did to entertainment, was you are tricked by there being a compelling mystery to keep on watching. And so Manifest, even though it's way worse by all accounts, I just kept watching. Stephen King even tweeted about it, like, I think in the past week or so, just commenting, I think, on some of the things that I said. But it shows what goes on with these mystery box shows and why so many of them are so annoying. And I think a lot of, well, not even I think, a lot of people get tricked by these shows. I'm very offended for them. Yeah, but I'm watching Resident Evil. I'm probably going to start Miss Marvel. Because that show, we had so much going. I don't know why they put out Miss Marvel when they did. People would have watched it had it not been buried by so many other shows. I had too many other things to watch, and it was just further down the list. Because, like, I read the first volume of the comic. I liked it quite a bit. So I was going to consider using... No, that was the last round. No, we're going to use Raven's Claw here, because it doesn't matter if I win or lose. I just want to see what happens. I need to start understanding, is this a good ship or not? How do I use it? What kind of fleet do I need to put it with? And Fleet Arena is not the place to do that anymore. But, like, fleets really need another location to play around with it. It's really, you gotta wait for those galactic challenges that are fleet challenges. So you want to get the target lock out first, because that gets Raven's Claw going and allows you to ignore taunts and dispel. So you can see we almost take out the Falcon. Maybe with relics on Biston we do it, maybe with more stars on Raven's Claw we do it. And this is a Galactic Legend level Raddus fleet. So you can see, like, that almost worked. Now the problem is I don't have target lock, so this fleet's not going to be as good. I need... It does feel like there needs to be some more ways to get target lock onto the field. Biston gets things going, but not to the degree that I thought it would. When I read this kit, I thought it was going to be more. And now we've lost Raven's Claw, and we're not in a great place. They ripped through a fleet. And they're ripping through what's left of this. Like, we could have brought in Falcon. This would be an easy one. Falcon messes up the Raddus, because what the Falcon does is dispel all the deflector shield. And without deflector shield, the cooldowns on the ultimate on the Raddus are completely negated. so it no longer becomes a threat. Not the case here. I probably shouldn't even brought out the Phantom. I should have just let... Yeah, I don't know why I don't just let myself die. Because I'm eating up clock right now that I don't have. Yeah. So I got 2 fleets to clean up now. Raddus cleaning up a Raddus on a second attempt is very safe. I like to do it a lot. When I don't think my fleet can survive against the Raddus long enough to get the ultimate off, then I like to throw in a team to burn the cooldowns and clean up with my own Raddus. Because I have a weaker Raddus than my opponent because I don't have Ray. So my concern would be if using Raddus on the first attempt would be I lose my Raddus early before he takes out his Raddus, and I got no way to deal with it afterwards. Putting Poe on the front lines is a mistake. Shouldn't have done it, but I'm rushing because I have no time, so I didn't think about it. Yeah, this is a situation where I'm just going to get to the ultimate first and then we'll clean things up and worry about it then. Just using that. Oh my god, he dodged. And there's evasion down and he still dodged. That's too bad. Getting deflector shield out. Blowing up the Falcon, blowing up Rose. Poe's the next one that matters. These other ships don't matter for this fleet. There's the ultimate. I get a tank out, which will help. I guess in some ways the Raddus ultimate is kind of like BB-8 getting off Illuminated Destiny. Great, but we used way too much time to do it. Now we got to take out this next fleet. Not even take out, clean it up. But we do have the Falcon. Falcon, the capital ship, barely matters. Oh, am I really going to do this? We don't have time for this, man. Yeah, it occurred to me. I figured it out. Looking forward to the profundity. The Outrider that fast, man? Like, I know it's not 7 stars, but I think it's 6 stars. I forgot about that. I forgot that happened. Like, this is a situation where we're fine, but it's kind of ridiculous at the same time. There. Come on, man. Did I have to bring in a 4th fleet? I don't remember what happened here. I'm recording this like a day or two after I did the battles. Alright, we're fine. We're fine. Oh, we're not fine. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah. I have so little time left. I've used all my fleets on this. Well, I did use the Raven's Claw in a nonsensical way. Not nonsensical, but in a way that was certainly unknown. When the Raddus would have been a one-shot. And the Executor I probably could have beaten one, but I didn't handle it right. And so you can see that we have no time left. We went by that screen quickly, but yeah. We have what? We're gonna go with Mandalorians. Bo can heal armor and Garsax and have. They have synergy in theory. In practice, it's limited. You'll definitely be seeing Maul and Bo for me next week. And Bam. The only reason that's held me off is I gotta find a replacement for Bam. Not that my Bam is doing anything right now. I guess Nute can move back to deep. Yeah, we would start doing Nute Jango. Because we're not keeping Jango then for Maul. So then Nute Jango becomes a team. Yeah, that's what would happen. Those are better options than what I'm using anyway. I was going to put the Dash Omicron on, but now I'm thinking I don't. Because I got to put on Melgus Omicrons. And after I do that, I have 75. I don't know if I'm going to put all 3 on Melgus. I think I'm just going to do 1 or 2 to start so we can feel things out next week. Because with a lot of the other channels and how they test, what we're going to end up seeing is you're going to see a lot of Melguses with all the Omicrons. So understanding how they function in an incremental way is going to be harder to see, and it's one of the things that we can do here to make something a little bit more relevant. All right, so in terms of time, we are what? We're out of time. Like, I do not even have time for a real battle. Yeah, we have 13 seconds left. This is a loss. Had we not had the interrupted time, I don't even know if we still get the full clear. I think with preparation, though, then it was possible. With preparation, things would have been a lot cleaner. a lot faster. We wouldn't have had so many of those other attempts. I would have saved some teams and counters, and I don't think we win. We're not winning on efficiency against this guy, but we get the full clear. But this tough bracket for me. We had one of these 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and yeah, we're seeing this new normal of 5 GL minimums in Grand Arena Kyber 2. 4 GLs I can handle. 5 GLs is hit or miss. 6 GLs I need a bad opponent, or one who doesn't participate. So what I'm seeing is if this is how things are going to be moving forward, it's going to be harder and harder for me to compete. I am going to engage with Datacrons a lot more than I did this time around for next week, though. But thank you for watching. Be safe out there, everyone, and be excellent to each other. This is Still Plays Galaxy Heroes.